Hi guys, my name is Ivan and welcome back to my channel. Before this video starts, check out my social media links in the description below and because I post regular fishing photos, catches, lures, reviews on my Instagram. So yeah, if you want to see that, follow me on my Instagram below, and if you want to add me as a friend on Facebook, feel free to do so. So today, in this video, we're going to be talking about spinnerbaits. What exactly? So, this is a spinnerbait. I think you all know what a spinnerbait is. A pretty simple lure. Weighted head, skirt, it can be from different materials, stainless steel wire, this another wire, it can be from the same material, it can be the same wire, so you don't have to have two wires, but this particular spinnerbait has a titanium wire, so it flexes, it has a really good action, and a blade, two blades, sometimes even three blades, different shapes, sizes, of course. But what about spinnerbaits? What am I going to talk about in this video? So not about retrieves, not about when you should throw a spinnerbait, because for example, when I throw a spinnerbait, somebody else might throw a chatterbait. And that's a personal topic, what you throw, when, where, what works better on your lake. And it also depends if you're catching bass, pike, catfish, zander. For example, in the same lake, on the same day, this one catches pike, and this one catches bass. Same day, same lake. You never know what you're going to get, and you need to know the lake you fish and adapt to those conditions. And that is why I'm not going to talk about the retrieves and when you should throw a spinnerbait, but I'm going to talk about something more important and more general. How to improve your spinnerbait. So some additions, some things about trailers, trailer hooks even, and yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you like the video, stay tuned, and yeah, let's start. So first up, without even tuning your spinnerbait, without even doing anything, I'm just going to say that a spinnerbait is not just a chuck and wind lure. So if you're just chucking and winding a spinnerbait, you're catching fish. Nothing wrong with it. It's a brilliant lure. It attracts fish, has visual components, has these blades that fish feel with their lateral line. So really, really good lure. But if you alter your spinnerbait retrieve, especially on pressured lakes and waterways, if you're reeling it just straight, it will just go straight. But if you let it drop down, some spinnerbaits, for example, the Savage Gear TI Flex, which is one of the few spinnerbaits I use. I also use the Savage Gear, the Bush spinnerbait as this is my pike spinnerbait. And this is the one I use for bass and smaller pike and zander. And this is the one I throw when I'm pike fishing. It's a really big spinnerbait. I'm going to talk about it a bit later. But if you alter your retrieve, you know, you're just winding it, and just a tiny switch with the tip of your rod, it bumps that spinnerbait up, and it can trigger a reaction strike. I know this is a reaction bait, but that tiny, just tick in a retrieve can do a world of difference. Also, lift and drop presentation. Just let it drop, it spins, the blade spins on its way down, gets down to the bottom, you lift it up, again, let it sink down. Just this tiny, I mean, you can still straight retrieve it. It's a brilliant retrieve, but just those tiny, let's say anomalies in the retrieve. So just a straight retrieve and you suspect you're having a fish following it. Just a tiny twitch can trigger that fish into biting. So that is, in my opinion, the most important tip. And it's the one you do not need to work anything for. So let's start off with trailers on spinnerbaits. So on spinnerbaits, we've got trailers and trailer hooks. So trailer hooks, if you're having short striking fish, if you're not fishing deep cover, put on a trailer hook. So trailer hook, I've got one on my chatterbait right now. You can even pair it up with a trailer. For example, this is a Savage Gear Fat T-Tail minnow 9 centimeters. It's a brilliant trailer. I'm also going to talk about it a little bit later. And it works. You know, you have a fish, it bites, but it doesn't bite here. It bites here. It gets hooked, especially a pike, because it attacks really, really ferociously. And sometimes you even hook it on the side of the jaw with this trailer hook. So trailer hooks depends if you're missing fish, if you're having short strikers, if you're not fishing cover, grass, timber, laydowns, stumps, put on a trailer hook. You won't regret it. So as far as trailers go on spinnerbaits, I have a good example right here on my debush. So this is a smaller size Savage Gear debush with a Fat T-Tail, 13 centimeters in pearl white color. So as you can see, the profile, it's a little bit better like this, the profile of this shad just perfectly matches the profile of the skirt. And when it works through the water, you got something that makes vibrations and works like this, except this blade. So with this, you've only got the blade, and well, if you've got a good material skirt, you also got the skirt. But here you've got an added attraction: blades, skirt, and a trailer. I like to swim baits. You can also use other things. As far as trailers go, you can match it with the color of the skirt. You can match it with the color of your upper blade. For example, on this one, I would put a gold trailer, because if you just match, you know, a gold shines here and there's a gold tail or a swim bait here, that would be also good. But you can also mismatch it. Why? Because this trailer actually helps the fish focus on this part here, because the hook is here, you know. For example, if you've got a spinnerbait like this and a chartreuse blade, the fish are going to hit the chartreuse blade because it's a point of interest. Let's say it's a part of the spinnerbait that just sticks out, that is different, and the fish are therefore going to hit this blade. But adding, for example, a chartreuse trailer would not be a problem, because the fish would focus here and they would strike the chartreuse trailer or the chartreuse swim bait. You can say it either way. But then they can strike the chartreuse tail, they can bite it off, and then we're back again at the trailer hook. So yeah, you can use different trailers. You don't need to use swim baits. I like to use swim bait, but you can also use, you know, grubs like this, Savage Gear ribworm, brilliant lure for bass fishing in general. But also for trailers, you can use, well, even trailers like this 3D crayfish. I mean, it has got no real action when you just reel it in, but why not? It gives a profile, it gives the bulk to the lure, and if you're trying to imitate a crawfish, a crawdad, why not? So why else to use trailers? Trailers are really good when balancing your lure. When it hits a branch and it deflects, sometimes it doesn't just, let's say, tune right into the retrieve it had before the lay down or stump. So it hits the stump and it's just for a couple of centimeters, meters, depends from spinnerbait to a spinnerbait, it's just doesn't run upright. But the trailer with its additional weight, this is like a 20 gram lure, 18 gram, I'm not sure, but it just adds the bulk for that spinnerbait when it hits a stump to, it just pulls it down, and the blades creating an upward force pull it up. So it just tunes right back into it. It's really good when fishing, you know, heavy cover or hard cover, and it just gets your spinnerbait back in true running really, really fast. So that's it about trailers. Now let's talk about blades. Blades are important. You can buy additional blades, but you don't have to. Why? Let's see. So for example, these are two pretty similar spinnerbait colors. This is just plain white, and this is just white, but with a bit of blue detailing on the jig-head. And I would fish these two spinnerbaits in the same conditions, to be honest. But if you're looking to alter your spinnerbait blades, buying the two same spinnerbaits, just with different colors and details, can make a world of difference. As you can see, we've got a silver and a gold blade here, and we've got the reverse, the gold and a silver. And then we can exchange these blades to make different combos, combinations. That's really, really good, because you can just switch colors and blades on the go. You don't have to have, you know, a box of additional blades. You can just alter the spinnerbaits that you already have, and this is a really, really good method. What else? Let's say, for example, let's talk about this bigger spinnerbait. This is a Savage Gear TI Flex spinnerbait as well, but a bigger size. If we compare the blades, this one is much bigger, but it has a heavier body. So what blades also do, except just colors, and I'm going to say that, I'm going to say the same thing I said about retrieves. Colors depend from a river to river, from a lake to lake, from a pond to pond, from a stream to stream. Doesn't matter, the colors vary throughout the countries, throughout the same country, throughout the same lake even. Colors are, let's say, individual preference. What you like to throw, what you feel confident throwing, and what your bass or pike or catfish or zander feel comfortable eating. But the fact about blades is bigger blades create more vibrations, but they create more upforce. So although this head or on the body of the spinnerbait is heavier, this bigger blade creates more upforce, and therefore the spinnerbait is at the same depth as this one. What does that tell you? You need to switch blades. Put on a smaller blade on this spinnerbait with a larger size or larger weight jig head. It creates a world of difference, because there's less upforce, because the blade is smaller, it creates less turbulence, but the head is heavier, and therefore the spinnerbait sinks down and stays down when you're fishing deep water. Contrary, when you're fishing shallow water, put on a bigger blade on a smaller spinnerbait to keep it higher in the water column, near the surface. Works both ways. Also, colors and everything. You can, as I've said with the trailer, you can match it with your trailer, you can match it with your skirt, you can match it with your front blade. Really, you need to try out on your lake what works. So yeah, now that we're done talking with, talking about blades and trailers, I'm going to talk a little bit about skirts. Very, very similar concept. And yeah, you just need to see what works on your lake. You can combine, let's say it again, you can combine all the parts of this spinnerbait with this spinnerbait. So you can switch skirts, you can try out whatever you like, whatever fits your needs, let's say. This skirt material is really good, so just plain silicone. And I like the bush, especially these colors. As you can see, it just has this really, really big, dense, fluffy skirt, and it just works really, really well. And as you can see, that skirt just perfectly matches with these two trailer hooks that are in the back. Oh, excuse me. One thing that is also good about the bush spinnerbaits is that they come with a Colorado blade, so you can switch out. If you have a TI flex and the bush, you can switch it out. You can put a smaller blade on the bush so it runs deeper, and you can put a bigger blade on here so it runs shallower, and it's really good. Especially on the bush, it's really easy to change out your blades because they have just a snap, and you just pry it open, pull it out, pry open on another spinnerbait, pull out, exchange. You know, you can put, I mean, these two have the same blades here, the same front blades, but if they were different color, if this one was chartreuse, let's say, you could exchange it really, really, really easily. Next tip, scenting your spinnerbait. And so spinnerbaits have blades which create vibrations, so it stimulates the fish lateral line. The flash from the blades and the skirt stimulates the fish visual system, so the eyes, but it doesn't have scent. And what you can do about it is either add scent to your trailer that you add on a spinnerbait. Again, the Savage Gear Fat Detail works really well. The Savage Gear Cannibal Shad works really well. Actually, any soft plastic can work really well as a trailer, but I prefer the Cannibal Shad and the Fat Detail. So what you can do about scent is either add it to your trailer, add it possibly to your skirt, or if you have, let's say, a scent in a stick, like glue in a stick, you can rub it here on this, let's say, the underside of your main blade, because this blade, it spins really, really a lot when you're fishing a spinnerbait. It just spins and never stops, you know. It's just constantly spinning when you're retrieving a spinnerbait, and with all that water going along this blade, is just going to push off that scent and leave a good scent trail in the water. And that is one way to do it, but the other way I like to do it is take the bags of my soft plastics, for example, the Savage Gear Ribworm, which is again a really, really good trailer. And you can put your spinnerbait in here. I mean, this is a full bag, it's unopened, but when you lose or when the fish bites off and you don't have any more worms or anything else, it also works with other bags, but it doesn't work with bags like this because the spinnerbait just doesn't fit in there. So you just put your spinnerbait in there, and there is even after the silicone lures are gone, there is still some, let's say, juice fluid which is still in the bag, and just put your spinnerbaits in there. I keep my spinnerbaits anyway when I'm going fishing in bags like these, and I flip them in half and put them in my fishing vest. The spinnerbait box is really, really big and it takes up a lot of space, so this is a really good way to store spinnerbaits, and naturally this is as well. You can also, if you don't like the scent of your worms or something, just take a regular bag, Ziploc bag, open it, take a little bit of, if you have it, of course, let's say a Berkeley power bait attractant. So you just spray it in, rub it along, and put your spinnerbait in there, and you're good to go. Next time you're going to fish, you're going to have a scented spinnerbait. And finally, rattles. Rattles in a spinnerbait. For example, let's say the Savage Gear Rattle Trout. So this is the 4D model, the new one. I don't know if you can hear it, but it has a really, really good rattling system, and that entices the fish even more to strike it. But with the spinnerbait, it does not have rattles. You can add rattles either, again, to your trailer, so stick it in the silicone body of your trailer on the spinnerbait, or there are some rattles and O-rings. I think it's even a combination. So you just put it here, let's say, and it works again really, really well. When you switch it, it just gives that a little bit more sound, which triggers the fish. Again, like the switch itself, that triggers the fish. That would be it. Another tip right before we end is, if you have some spare blades and you don't know how to use them, just make, let's say, a wire harness like this with a snap lock on the end, and you can put whatever you lure you like, for example this rattle trout, and it's kind of a spinnerbait. So yeah, you cannot rig this as a spinnerbait trailer, but if you really like the action, you can do this. This is what I like to do with most of my swim baits and big baits. So yes, that would be it with this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something from this video. It's really long, but yeah, I could not make it shorter with all this information and everything I had to say about spinnerbait. So thank you for watching, and as I've said in the beginning, if you're interested in, let's say, my fishing adventures, check out my Instagram in the description below. And yeah, see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.